we're late, so it's our fault. He's like,
That's okay, I know. It's hard to.
and we've lost a bunch of our, we had almost 50 people on the tour, but several have peeled off, and some were here eating and then just left, so.
Some will be found next week, maybe.
Yeah.
Someone buried down there?
So, how did you manage to stay all together?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm sure. Did everybody get a brochure?
I don't need one, I've got one.
You can share, I think
Thank
we
you.
do have one, actually.
Okay. Well, there's lots of them. So, well, my name's Tim. As Jenny said, I'm one of the two rangers here at Home State Forest. I want to welcome you. Who has never been here before? Have you all? Everybody's been here before. You've all visited the forest before? Oh, okay. That is truly amazing. Because I thought, from what Jenny had said, that you all weren't familiar with our forest.
About half of our class, or more than half of our class, was local, and then the rest of them weren't. So she's probably thinking of the ones that weren't, and they must be gone now.
Okay.
They got lost.
Yeah.
Because they're not local.
Okay.
Wandering in the woods.
Well, do you have any questions about this place that I can maybe?
Well, how did it start?
It started it started out as wild woodlands. And
Yeah.
before that, how far back do you want to go? Back.
Back to the CCC.
Like, when did it first start called Homes Educational?
Yeah, who did they buy it?
They bought it from a couple of farm families. So all of this was pasture land. It's just open pasture land until the 1930s, sometime the mid-1930s, when it was purchased by the state to be developed as a nursery to grow seedlings. White pine and yellow poplar seedlings were grown and harvested here. So it stayed a nursery until about the mid-70s, and then it was converted to what they called small state forests. And I don't know if they changed it because it's too hard to say that 3 times in a row, but it stayed a small state forest. That was kind of the early days of the educational state forest system, and it is a smallish forest, so it's not that isn't fitting.
Was it built with, during the Depression with
The CCC. Yep, the CCC helped build this, and they built. There's a ranger's residence. That's where the other ranger, who's actually the forest supervisor, Susan Fay, and her husband live here on the forest. She's really been interested. It's too bad Susan's not the one doing this today. It just happens to be my weekend, but Susan is new to us. She came about a year ago, and she's been really digging into the history of the forest, really interested in that, and so she's found all kinds of good stuff. She found a photograph, 1939 photograph that shows the forest when they had just finished the house. You can see some of the nursery beds down here, but this is not forested yet up here. You know, there are trees scattered around, but it doesn't. In the photograph, it doesn't look anything like it does now. It's much more grown up. But there's a photograph just before. It's right. Did you see the labyrinth over there? All the stones. It's a labyrinth anyway. Yeah. We put that in this past winter, and I thought it would be more popular with adults, but kids seem to really get into it. Of course, they do it faster than the adults do.
Yeah.
They zip around it. If you just kind of walk, it's not, it's a labyrinth, not a maze, so you don't come to dead ends. You just follow the pattern and doubles back some in the middle. And
did you follow a particular classic labyrinth pattern?
looked it up on the internet, and there's a whole bunch of different patterns. And it's an old classic.
Do you know the name of the pattern?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. But you may know it by. Are you familiar with labyrinths to know their names?
No, I'm just curious
Okay.
about it.
I thought you might know just by looking at it.
Which one?
What it is. Yes, it's the Macedonian version. It's the Macedonian labyrinth.
I'll let you know if I find it.
No, I just made that up. We call it there's a bluebird house near it, so we had to name it something, so I named it the Bluebird labyrinth.
That's
Just to
good.
give it a name. So it wasn't, so we didn't just say the labyrinth. It's the Bluebird Labyrinth.
Do you
Yeah.
know who the first ranger was here?
Oh, gosh, I don't know.
I went to school with him and I can't remember.
Back when it became a state forest, you mean, after it was converted
Yeah.
from a nursery to a state forest?
Yeah.
Well, there was Bobby McDowell was instrumental in building, supervising the construction of the shelter and a lot of the, like when it was converted from a nursery to a state forest, then the State Forest Service brought in folks and put in the trails and all the other outdoor recreation features. But the only name that comes to my mind is Bobby McDowell, who's still in the area.
How do you get the name Holmes?
John Simcox Holmes, he was the first state forester in North Carolina from the State Forest Service, the first head of the State Forest Service, and he was from Henderson County. So it's named that. And this is actually Simcox Gorge right over here. I bet you didn't know that. Yeah.
So where's the James
What's that?
part? Where's the James part? Is it James and Cox?
John,
okay.
John Simcox Holmes. Right.
Now, did John Holmes go through the Shank Forestry School?
Good question. I don't really know. Probably by the time he came along, I don't know how long the program has been in effect at NC
I
State
would say
or
no,
Clemson.
because the sheep program would have been about the same time he was becoming a state forest ranger, wouldn't you think?
I
That sheep
honestly
program
don't
didn't
know.
start the 1900s, early 1900s. I would say no.
I promise to try not to make up answers. If I don't, I've lived long enough now. I know there's much more that I don't know than I do, and I've come to accept that.
I
And
bet we can find out if the Museum of Forestry there.
someplace,
Yeah.
It's
that's
on the internet. I think there's information on the internet on
Oh, okay.
Cox Holmes.
there's a saying that we use in one of our teacher workshops. That none of us are as smart as all of us, and I really believe in that. That you get a group of folks together, and it's amazing how much knowledge and information we all have. But mine is just this much, and all of us together is like this much. So,
Correct Terry Ruskin. Terry left right as you were coming up. He did it on purpose.
oh, did he? Is he the author?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was
I did-
here and you passed him
He
on
was
the
the one who
trail.
wouldn't make eye contact with me.
Terry has an error in his book related to the forest. You fix it for him.
Yeah. We really did appreciate him including us in his book, though.
What
It's
was
really
the
cool.
error?
He's gonna tell you about
It's about
camping.
it said something about, we have a campground up on the mountaintop, and as long as I've been here, a little over 26 years, we require reservations. It's a group campground, and we just let one group use it at a time, so we ask that there be at least 20 people in the group. And it used to be that we were very flexible about what a group entailed or meant, and it ended up becoming kind of like a big party place
Yeah.
up there. And the last straw for us was a mother called, and she said she wanted to have a camp out. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. And she wanted to have a camp out up there for her son's graduation from high school, and their families and everything, it sounded like. So that's okay. But, well, it was just a huge party, and they left a flaming campfire. They dumped water on it, but they had been burning it all weekend. This big council fire, a big ring in the center of the campground, and it had, how it burned down. And it was burning 1.5 feet or so down into the ground. There was heat. So they poured water on it, and it knocked the flames down, and they thought it was out. But a hiker came by, who had hiked our long trail, fortunately, that Sunday evening, and he came by the office, and he said, he said there's a huge fire in the fire ring up at the
Wow.
campground.
Wow.
And so I called the mother, and we all met up there, and we cleaned up all the beer cans, and she found one of her shoes she had left up there. There was a shoe, I got up there before them, and there was a shoe. There was a shoe lying on one of the trails to one of the campsites, and so I brought it in, and she came in with some of the kids, and she said, "Oh, there's my shoe." But anyway, so that was the last straw.
You
So
introduced them to Smokey, did you?
yeah,
At least it was a shoe.
I showed them how to put a campfire out. But
Speaking of fires, have you ever had a fire on the site?
No,
No,
not
like a
that
forest
we-
fire, burn through, or anything like that?
no,
Lightning
it's
cause
been
or
close a
what?
couple of times. One time we were burning. There used to be a botanical garden down here, and one spring we were burning it, and it just about got away from us. So the only fire that I know of we've almost had here was one that we caused. The wind just kind of.
At any rate, now, Terry wrote in his book like you just go in and camp.
Yeah, he made
Can't do
it sound
that.
like you could just kind of park out there and just walk in and camp. But
Which is not good because he's selling hundreds and hundreds. of
Yeah.
dollars.
we haven't had any calls about it, and no one's called and said that.
They just have to walk in.
I guess so. You're right, yeah. Terry's giving them the go-ahead on that.
Did you ever have a
But
sawmill or anything like that for building the?
they did. They did cut a lot of the wood here, and we do have a
So they had a mobile
portable.
setup?
We have a portable mill
Yeah, so I think-
back at the office, but
Cool.
which actually was used to salvage southern pine beetle
Okay, sure,
logs.
yeah.
It traveled around the western part of the state, the Forest Service did, and to help salvage some of the usable
Sure.
southern pine beetle damage. And then that whole infestation, which is kind of a cyclic thing, the southern pine beetle, kind of waned, and so they gave us the saw. And we've used it some. It's broken right now.
Have you tried to reintroduce the chestnut?
There are several on the forest. There are several experimental study sites, and one of them did deal with the chestnuts. One with the butternut or white walnut, which is
Yeah.
facing a similar blight to the chestnuts.
Is that right?
Yeah. That stand is back by the office. If you instead of going out the main gate, if you turn right towards the office, almost immediately on your right, you'll see it's probably 8 years old or so now. We planted them as little babies, and some of them they haven't gotten any fruit yet, but they
How tall are they now?
about probably 8 or 10 feet the tallest. Some of them have died off. There used to be a lot more. But,
Are you going to work with reintroducing them through the American Chestnut Society?
this is the butternuts. This is the
Oh, you're talking
butternuts.
about butternuts right
Yeah. The American Chestnut Foundation or Society is officed in Asheville now,
Yeah.
which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
I think near the U.S. Forest Service office, up there near the university.
UNCA?
Yeah, I think it's near UNCA.
What's the latest information with the hemlocks?
The hemlocks, I've not been to the Smokies. Has anybody been to the Smokies lately and seen
Not lately.
the kill-off, the die-off? We've, if you look around,
Pretty
you
bad.
can see the little strip of flagging on that one. We've treated about 200 of them here.
You have?
We've treated all the ones that we could get to with water. It takes a lot of water
Yes.
to treat them, but so the ones that have further up our mountainside we haven't treated yet. But it's a tough battle. It's
They're coming
very
up with a new treatment on
yeah.
that.
They're
It's a viral treatment.
Oh, okay.
Once they become infested, they can actually treat them with a viral plug type thing, and it essentially gets rid of the disease. So.
the trouble is
Hold on.
I don't know about that one, but the cost is kind of prohibitive for
Most folks.
most of the things that they're coming up with. They had a predatory
Lady beetle.
A beetle, yeah, that they were experimenting with a while back, but they were like hugely expensive, and it was kind of hard to, control them. You just kind of go on it. But,
Well, this is kind of good because the tree can actually be infested, and then you can treat it
Treat it.
and actually cure it. So it's
Well-
amazing.
yeah, that's great.
I saw that in a laboratory, clinical laboratory, zoology magazine that I had.
One of the hardest things that I've had to do with my job and my career here is whenever they give us insect and disease training, it's really, I don't know how those folks can walk around once you treat it, our specialists, knowing all that. It's just really kind of depressing and a little overwhelming. It's kind of like, I don't know if anyone here is a medical doctor, but I don't think I'd like to know all that either, Some things I'd really be ignorant of. But it just seems like there are always things, either insects or diseases that or plants, invasive plants that we're introducing.
How has the rain affected the forest this year? Since it's so wet.
Yeah, I don't know. What's going to be interesting is to see what kind of a fall we have.
Mm-hmm.
If the leaves are just going to drop, or if it'll affect the color. Because in order to have a really colorful fall, we need to have some dry,
Right.
crisp
Warm.
weather, to kind of to bring out the colors. But
Let's hope we turn the corner.
maybe
The
so.
rain.
I guess at least for the next week or so. It's,
There's some hope. It's
Yeah.
sunny tomorrow.
So,
Hum-
Tim, you mentioned that the campground is on top of a mountain,
Mhm.
so, and as you travel this red trail, you're,
Yeah. If you hold,
and so what mountain are we talking about?
it's called McDowell Mountain.
McDowell?
Yes,
Okay.
the top up there. And if you hold your map upside down with the shield on that side,
Okay,
here we are down in the valley,
right,
and then look at the contour lines, and you can see this little bit right in here where they're really close together.
yeah.
That's the first part of the mountainside, where it's kind of steep, and then up on the top it kind of levels off. So the forest, if you were looking at it from the side, would look kind of like that.
Okay.
So I don't know if any of y'all have ever hiked our long trail, but the only really challenging part is the first part where you climb up either one side or the other. Once you get up on the top, the biggest part of it is it's just kind of rolling. It's really not a really difficult trail to hike. We call it moderately stressful or difficult because of its length.
How long is this?
It's about 4 miles.
The red,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
The red, and you can hike it any number of different ways. You can stay on the red the whole way and come back down the way you went up, or over here on the east side you can come down that yellow trail, Wildcat Rock Trail, and then come back down that way.
I've gotten to